Hi, I am Connie Zabo-Schmucker, Advocacy Director at Bicycle Garage Indy. Welcome to our first Spotlight on Bicycling. Hi, we've got a whole crew there of 2022. And last year I did these on a more frequent basis, but I'm going to try and go through the year on a monthly basis. So it'll be the third Monday of the month. And so we've got, today is Bicycle Indiana, and we've got Summer Keown and Kip Tew who are joining us for their presentation. I do want to do a little plug for tomorrow. There's going to be a online meeting of the inaugural meeting of the Indy Bike Ped Safety Task Force. So if you're interested in getting involved, it's going to be housed within the Advocacy Committee of Bike Indianapolis, and it's going to be focused on Indianapolis bicycle and pedestrian safety. Part of the reason why this task force is getting formed was because of just so many bicycle and pedestrian fatalities and injuries have happened, especially in the last year or two. And we want to have a task force that will really focus on solutions to try and prevent those from happening in the future. Excuse me. So we're going to have our first meeting tomorrow. I think there is a link on BGI's calendar. So if you go to our calendar, I'll try and get a link in the chat for everyone as well. So if you can join us, that's great. If you're interested, you can still just register and I'll send notes and things afterwards. So without further ado, I will turn this over to Summer and Kip, and we'll go from there.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Connie, for inviting us to come and speak to everyone. Thank you so much for everybody who's watching. So I'm Summer Keown. I am, my official title is Interim Managing Director for Bicycle Indiana. So there are definitely some folks here that I haven't met yet. So feel free to ask questions, put them in the chat as we go. This isn't super formal. I'm here with Kip Tew from Ice Miller. We've been working really closely on vulnerable road user legislation this year. So I figure I'll give a little bit of an overview about who we are and what we're working on, and then we can go a little bit deeper into the vulnerable road user bill, how to be an effective advocate, and some things like that. And if there's any questions along the way, just feel free to pop up and let us know. Does that sound good to you, Kip? Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. All right. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Bicycle Indiana, we're a nonprofit organization. I realize that next year is going to be our 20th anniversary as an organization, which is pretty incredible. We're focused on cycling advocacy and education and providing resources to cyclists and to drivers and other folks, whether you cycle or not. Move something here real quick. So our mission in general is to make bike riding safe and accessible for all people in Indiana, whether they're riding for transportation or exercise or for fun, for any reason. And we're here to provide education for both bicyclists, motorists, policymakers, whether that's legislators or folks at the city level that are doing city planning. So we advocate for bicycle-friendly laws and policies and better infrastructure for cycling. We are made up of a small staff. as well as a volunteer board of directors that represents the entire state. So we are broken out into Northern Indiana, Central, and Southern Indiana to make sure we have representation from the whole state. We also have several different committees made up of volunteers. We have a policy and legislative committee, an education committee, and an organizational capacity committee. So some of those members are board members, many are not. So if you're looking for a place to get involved and you're interested in cycling education or policy, you're welcome to join one of those committees. We also will be having our board elections, our general board elections this summer. So if you're interested in that, hit me up after this, or I'll put some links in the chat as we go as well. So our programs focus on education, advocacy, and providing resources. I'll go over those a little bit. So we are statewide, but locally in the Central Indiana area, we manage the Pedal and Park program, and that's a partnership with the Indianapolis MPO. So we provide bike parking at events throughout the area, which you've probably utilized here and there, but we are always at the Indiana State Fair, and we work closely with volunteers from SEBA to provide valet bike parking. So there's folks to watch your bike while you're there. We work with Bike Indianapolis for Bike to the Ballpark and other events. We're also at the Broad Ripple Farmers Market whenever it's outdoors, Earth Day Indiana, Carmel Fest, let's see, Penrod, and a number of different events. They'll usually start once it starts getting a little bit warmer. But we do this because we want to make sure that folks feel comfortable riding somewhere and knowing that there's going to be a safe place to lock up their bikes. At the Indiana State Fair, we even have volunteers that watch your bike for you the whole time. So if you are involved with any events that need to have bike parking, we have the pedalandpark.org website where you can put in your request. We'll open up requests for 2022 here in the next month or so, just making a few tweaks for this year. And it's always free of charge for cyclists to make sure that there's no barriers to using it, although we do accept tips for volunteers. We provide a number of different educational materials, all free of charge. One of probably our most popular is our bicycle law card that folds up and can go in your wallet. And it has all of the, I don't know if you can see that here, but it provides all of the laws related to cycling in Indiana. So you can take that with you if you ever need to say, okay, no, this is the law and here's proof. We have those for you. And thanks to a grant from the SEBA Foundation, we've had those translated into Spanish, Burmese, and Chinese. They're getting printed right now. We have a few of the Chinese ones already, but all of them will be ready in the next month or so. And we'll start distributing those to organizations throughout the state. We also have our very popular coloring book for kids that has all kinds of ways to learn bike safety while you're coloring. And we have also gotten that translated into Burmese, Chinese, and Spanish. And we're going to post that on the website in case you want to print off a couple pages for kids to color. It's a great way to start teaching kids early. And then we have a number of other materials, brochures and educational materials, and you can just go to our website at bicycleindiana.org and hit the education tab and put in a request. They're all free. We'll mail them to you for free. So whether you're teaching a class or you want to teach your kids some safety information, then those are all there free of charge for you. We also work on hosting safe cycling classes. We had a bike club in the Warsaw area reach out to us about wanting to host a seminar for getting some new folks certified as licensed cycling instructors, which is a program from the League of American Bicyclists. Connie knows a lot about this program and has worked with them before. And I know there was a class recently in Indianapolis, so we are going to host this one in the Warsaw area probably this summer. We're working out some of the details there, but our goal there is to get more folks certified as LCI instructors, and then they can go and teach traffic skills 101 classes to people of all ages. And we're trying to get folks certified all around the state so that we're spreading that ability to have those safety classes. So if you are someone who's interested in becoming an LCI certified instructor and you think you might want to take the seminar in Warsaw, you can reach out to us. The info at bicycleindiana.org is my email address. So I'm happy to provide you some more information as we're working through all the details. One of the other things we do each year is we put out our Bicycle Indiana resource guide. So it's like packed full of information about rides to go on. We highlight the funding rides, which are rides that donate $1 back to Bicycle Indiana to help us with our programs. And there's great rides all throughout the year that will be in that guide. There's also a directory of Indiana bike shops, ride clubs, biking organizations of all kinds, and interesting articles with Q&As with advocates and planners, information from bike shops. You might see an article from Connie in there as well. So there's a lot of really just interesting information in there. We also do a Why We Ride section, which I'll put the link in the chat for everybody on here. We want to know what it is that motivates you to ride, where you like to ride. If you have any recommendations for folks, for cycling all year round, or if there's a book or a movie related to cycling you want to recommend, I'll put the link in there so you can share information and we can include that in our guide. And it will also have a lot of information about bicycling in Indiana and what we're working on this year and for coming years as well. So again, if you're interested in putting a funding ride in there or you want to advertise in the guide, you can email me and I can get you information. And if you're interested in the Why We Ride, I'll put the link in the chat. But advocacy is a big part of what we do. And as I mentioned before, we're working with Kip closely on trying to pass a vulnerable road user bill at the Indiana State House this year. The reason for that is because you probably have heard or known folks that have been the victims of road crashes. And unfortunately, a person on a bike or a pedestrian is just often no match for a vehicle. And there are not always consequences for when that happens. And so we're trying to close that gap to make sure that folks, have the tools that we need to protect cyclists and pedestrians. So I put some stats up here that it's from the Indiana University Public Policy Institute. So in the last 5 years of the data that's available, 551 people in Indiana were killed through crashes with motor vehicles, and 13,644 people were hit by vehicles. So it's no small number. We know that cycling can be dangerous and we want to make it a safer state for everybody. And this is one tool in our toolbox to help with that. As you can see on here, so State Bill 173, which Kip will talk a little bit more about, it's been introduced in the Indiana Senate and it proposes measures that if a driver causes a crash through reckless driving that either kills or seriously injures a cyclist or a pedestrian or some other folks that fall under the umbrella of vulnerable road users, such as people that use mobility aids or wheelchairs, motorcyclists, folks using on-farm equipment. It could potentially result in the loss of a driver's license, a fine, or a prison sentence, depending on the situation. So we'll circle back on that here and Kip can tell you more about that. We also are hosting a day at the State House that we hope you will come out for on February 17th. It'll be an opportunity to meet your legislator, hopefully. We'll help you connect with them in advance to let them know that you're coming. We'll have some speakers. We'll have some tables from some bike shops and we'll have some information there to share with legislators and continue to build those relationships with our legislators so that we're not just there when we are asking for this specific bill, but we're building those relationships for years to come. So one more thing before I pass it back off to Kit, but if you want to support Bicycle Indiana, there's a couple of different ways to become a member. You can buy a license plate. If you go to purchase one, it's under Indiana Bicycle Coalition because that is our legal name. So you can put that on your car. If you don't need a license plate or if it's going to be a while, so you need a new one, you can also just sign up as a member on bicycleindiana.org. And there you can also sign up for our newsletter. That is my overview of who we are. Stop sharing my screen and I can take questions for a second, or we can just jump in with Kip, and Kip, you can tell us a little bit more about what you're working on at the State House with us.
Anybody have questions? If not, I'll go ahead
I do not see any questions yet. So you go ahead and I will drop some links in there for folks.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here this evening. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you. I am Kip Tew. I am a lobbyist. I work at the law firm of Ice Miller. Bicycle Indiana hired me a couple of weeks ago, 3 I think weeks ago to be exact, to assist them with trying to get this law passed. I have worked though for People for Bikes before and helped pass the last major piece of legislation that dealt with bicycles in the state of Indiana. It was being paid by People for Bikes to do that. And so I'm thrilled to be, I'm an avid bicyclist myself. I do lobbying for a living and have been doing it in the state of Indiana since about 1989. So been around the state legislature in Indiana for too long, actually, if you want to know the truth. But our bill is sponsored by J.D. Ford, who's a state senator from the Indianapolis area and the suburbs of Indianapolis, Zionsville, and a few other places, parts of Carmel. He agreed to put the bill in the hopper, as we call it. And so it is out there, trying to get a hearing for it right now. I got on a little late, so I did speak. The bill was committed to corrections in criminal code in the Senate. Senator Mike Young is the chair of that committee. I have talked to him. He had already had most of his schedule laid out for the year and the bills he was going to hear by the time I had an opportunity to speak with him about this. He doesn't have any objection to our language per se, but he's got a very full calendar. So the chances of it getting heard here in what we call the first half of the legislature are not very good. There could be someone, there could be some bills that get dropped off and he might add us, but I'm not holding out hope for that. The good news is though that there's other pieces of legislation out there that our bill might be compatible with, so that it could be added to somebody else's piece of legislation. One in particular, Senator Aaron Freeman from the south side of Indianapolis has a bill that I think is up for third reading this week. And I talked to him Friday, and he has no objection to adding our language to his bill on the House side. And so we're probably going to try to add it if he gets a hearing for it on the House side. If his bill gets a hearing, then we will probably be having a hearing sometime in February on this bill. And I think Summer did a great job of basically describing what the piece of legislation is. Connie knows this very well, but you know, we've had tragedy after tragedy, and the most recent of which, of course, happened up on 86th Street in Indianapolis, as one of Connie's coworkers was riding his bike to work, hit and ultimately succumbed to his injuries in that crash. You know, no one was charged. The driver was not charged, and I think it's a tragedy, obviously, and we're trying to do something to get the legislature to pay attention to how bicyclists and motorists need to beware. And we think that this bill will go a long way in doing that. The particular portions of the bill that are important, Summer, I think, already highlighted, but I'll say it one more time. There's a definition in the bill of a vulnerable road user, and it includes bicyclists. And the bill says if you commit a moving violation that results in serious injury or death, then moving violation moves up to a misdemeanor. If it's death, then it moves up to a felony. We do have some issues about intent and mens rea when it comes to charging someone with a felony. So we're going to try to work those out with the legislature. But at the moment, that's what the bill says, and that's what we hope for it to remain, but it may not be able to be as strong as we want as we move it through the legislature. But I have some hope that we're going to get a hearing in in February, and I'm sure through Summer and Connie, we will get you the information on when that hearing is. I think it's critically important that if you have any friends that are bicycle enthusiasts, that they come to the State House Day. The legislature needs to know that we're here, and they should pay attention to us. Lots of folks have, sort of become very cynical about politics, think that it's not possible to influence the process, that big money controls everything. And all those criticisms have some validity, but I will tell you, in all my years of lobbying since 1989, and that's 30 some years, there is nothing more powerful than a large group of people coming to the State House and individually talking into their legislators and saying, here's a problem we want you to fix. This is not a partisan issue. There are Republican bicyclists, there are independent bicyclists, there are libertarian bicyclists, and there are Democratic bicyclists. Whoa, and my phone just fell. Sorry. And so it's critically important that legislators hear from us. If they don't hear from us, they won't pay attention. But if you're a voter in a district that someone has an influence or has a vote, you need to tell them. There's no substitute for it. I get paid to be a lobbyist. I can talk till my ears off, but I will tell you, if you live in Lagodi, Indiana, and you hear for 2 or 3 of your constituents about this, you sit up and take notice, because most of these folks actually don't want to make enemies in their districts. So it's really important. If you can't make it that day, we'll have a call to action for folks. But I really strongly encourage you to try to make it to our State House Day, and please try to recruit as many people as you can to come as well. And so I just leave you with the fact that we've got a bill, so we're making progress. Hopefully we're gonna get it passed this year. It'll be great if we do, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I've sufficiently bored you all. It's a lot easier to ask questions on Zoom than it is in a big room, so you're easier there. So,
all right. So Ross said he emailed his rep last week up in Fishers, and they responded they had heard from quite a few people about the bill already.
You live in Fishers. Was it Todd Houston by any chance, Ross?
I think it might. Yeah, I think it was, or it was Baldwin.
Oh, he's a senator.
Yeah,
he's a senator. He's not the rep. So
yeah,
the reason I ask is Todd Houston represents Fishers. Todd Houston is the Speaker of the House. He's the most powerful. He's actually the most powerful guy in the state of Indiana. When the legislature's in session, it's always been said for many, many years that the Speaker of the House is actually the most powerful person in Indiana while the legislature's in session. So reach out to him as well if you haven't so far, because the more folks hear from people like you, the better off we're going to be. I'm getting paid to lobby, but believe it or not, I'm the first one to say the volunteers who make the contacts are the one who then ultimately help make the difference, and grassroots makes a huge difference. So thank you for what you already did.
So Kip, what is the best way to contact your legislator? Do they have preferred method? Phone, email, tweet?
Well, the least intrusive is an email. And so, you probably don't have their phone. You can call the State House line, but I think the least intrusive and most effective is sending an email to them. And they have, all of them have assistants, and those assistants sort of tally up the phone calls that come in. The most important thing in those things is that you speak in your own voice, you be respectful, you be positive. Lots and lots of organizations have cards that they have sent in, or they have a rote email that you send and you just put your name on it and their name on it. If you speak from your heart and it's genuine and they know it's coming from an individual who actually cares, it has much more impact than it does just a mass email that gets sent out by an organization. Because they know in that the person didn't make much effort. But if you make the effort to call or to actually write your own email saying, this happened to me, I almost got hit, all those kind of, real personal stories about it, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I've contacted my state rep earlier in the summer before Senator Ford did the bill. And it was just at the very last my state rep, I'm on first name basis with her, is Carrie Hamilton.
She's absolutely wonderful, so that's easy.
yeah. I mean, and then my senator is Fadi Kadora. And so, they're both wonderful. Unfortunately, they are both Democrats in a very highly Republican legislature. So they don't have as much pull as some of the Republican representatives.
That's right. That's right. And we have to have Republicans get this passed without a doubt. But I will tell you, I don't think that many people see this as a partisan issue. So it's not like abortion. It's not like, schools. It's not like a lot of those issues where they're fighting a lot. It's really an issue about safety and sharing the road. And so the more the merrier when it comes to this issue. And so you reaching out to Carrie and Fadi is a good thing. So Fadi, I should say. I said Fadi. It's Fadi is how you pronounce his name.
Fadi. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
that's
anyway,
a good thing.
yeah.
I mean, it's all helpful in this case. There's not a downside to anybody contacting whoever it is, because the more people hear, the better it is.
Yeah, I've been told also, even if you're pretty sure that your senator or representative is going to vote in the way that you want to or support something that you want, that it's still good to go ahead and let them know that you are in support of it, so that they can say, I've heard from my constituents on this bill, and that's why I'm voting this way.
People change their mind a lot, so it's always good to, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but it's not infrequent that somebody says they're for something or they're against something, and then they get a deal somewhere else, and so they will either join forces or go somewhere else. So it's always important, no matter whether you've heard it, he or she are dead set with you or dead set against you, you still ought to contact them. So I agree with that advice.
Yep.
I put a link in the chat to find out who your representative is if you don't know who they are and what their contact information is. We do have a sample letter on our website. It's really just to give you a general idea of what you could send. As Kip mentioned, you don't want to copy it word for word because they want to hear directly from you, which is why we don't have one of those tools on our website that just you fill things out and it shoots out an email, because we don't want it to get screened out. We want them to hear directly from you. If you have any trouble,
I will say if you're too busy, the letter's better than nothing. So don't not do it because you're like, I don't know how to draft a better letter, blah, blah, blah. Send it anyway. But it's much preferable if it's in your own voice.
Definitely.
If there aren't any more questions, I'm going to wish you all adieu and have a good evening. And feel free to reach out.
I had one question. If you know anything about House Bill 1150,
yes,
which is traffic in school zones.
Yes, Blake Johnson, state representative from the Irvington area, is the author of that bill. It was heard this week. It is not probably going to be voted out of committee next week. The author or the chair of the committee said he was happy to give it a hearing, but he probably wasn't going to give it a vote. And so Blake doesn't feel like he's going to be able to get that thing out of committee. So we were watching it very carefully because it was a natural place for us to add our language. But I have actually found a Republican author of a Republican bill who is in favor of our language, and hopefully he'll get a hearing on the House side. Yeah, I will tell you he's a little bit of a lightning rod, and I'm hoping that that doesn't stop him from getting a hearing on the House side. So, but I'll be looking for other avenues just in case.
Do you know what committee that's going to potentially be on the House side?
I don't know at this moment. I was surprised where our bill got sent in the Senate, on the Senate side. So it could go to courts and criminal code. It could go to roads and transportation. Those are probably the two most likely places.
I think Carrie is on roads and transportation.
Yeah. I don't have a list in front of me.
Sorry, there was a question from Ross. He wanted to know, in addition to reaching out to senators and representatives and attending the State House Day, what other ways are there to help show support? I don't know if you want to speak to that, or
a letter to the governor would be appropriate. The other thing I'd say is pay dues to Bicycle Indiana. This can't happen without them having resources to pay me to work on it. So that's obviously a very good thing to do. Other than that, I don't have anything off the top of my head right now.
I think a couple of other things you can do is during the summer session or when they're not in the busy legislative session, is contact them and ask them to come on a bike ride with you and show them some of the areas where you ride, and ideally some of the good things and some of the not so good things, so that they have a better idea of what the general public works.
That's an excellent point. I thought he was being more specific about this bill, but without a doubt, try to establish a relationship with your legislators who represent you, so that when the time comes, there's a bill in front of them, no matter what it is, they're like, oh yeah, Ross is my go-to guy to talk to in my district about bicycles. And they'll remember you, and they'll call you and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Or they'll expect a call from you saying, hey, we really think this, that, or the other thing. And they come to rely on their in-district experts. And so the stronger relationship you build with them, most of them have what are called third house meetings, where they'll go to when there's not a pandemic, they'll go to a local restaurant or coffee shop or whatever, and they'll have like open hours, or they'll do joint presentations with other legislators in their county. And it's sort of a town hall, if you will, for lack of a better phrase. We call them third house. I don't know what you do, but there's the Senate and the House, and then there's the third house, which is the public, I guess. Find out where those are and attend them and raise questions there. That's an excellent idea outside of what we've talked about already.
Yeah, Kerry Hamilton has had those with other both senators and senators and representatives. When Senator Ruckelhaus was basically overlapping her district, they had bipartisan town halls, and they attracted hundreds of people, literally 200 people. They had to have them in big, huge churches or school auditoriums because they attracted so many people. And they would have like 4 or 5 of them during the session. And so I haven't seen any recently, in the last year or so because of the pandemic, I think, but
I think they're doing them virtually now.
Yeah.
Some are doing them virtually. So if you find out about them, go ahead and get on a Zoom, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. And you can always request a meeting with them, even if they're not having something. It's difficult to get to them during the session.
That's what you've hired me for.
Yeah.
I'm there all the time. So,
right. Because they're really busy. But to establish relationships with them in the outside of the legislative session.
Yes,
and
I couldn't agree more, Connie.
They also have LA's legislative assistants who are, they do all the research and everything, and then tell the representative or senator how to vote in a lot of ways. And so, or do the background research. And so getting on, sending emails to them as well, so it makes them aware of the different issues, is also very helpful.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, well, thanks for having me tonight. Much appreciated, and I look forward to the weather changing so people can get out there. It's too cold for me. Well, I'm not there right now. I'm actually in Boston, but I don't really go out under 40 degrees, but I'm one of those guys. I'm a wimp. So nice to be with all of you tonight.
Yeah, we had that discussion earlier. I think a couple of people actually got down to 20 degrees was their limit. 40 and sun is mine.
Yeah.
It has to be sunny.
All right. Have a good evening, folks.
All right.
you.
Thanks very much.
Awesome. Well, if you want to stay up to date on what we're doing at the State House and beyond, you can follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We have a newsletter that we send out once a month, and then we'll send out some in between based on what's going on in the legislature to keep you up to date. You can sign up on bicycleindiana.org. Thank you so much, Connie, for inviting me tonight and inviting Kip tonight to talk more about this.
You're welcome. Thanks everyone for coming. And like I said earlier, this will be, it's being recorded. It will be posted on the Spotlight webpage once I get it downloaded and uploaded to YouTube and all of that. So we'll have it available for anybody who wasn't able to come. And then also feel free to share it with others that you might want to recruit to come with you to State House Day or join Bicycle Indiana or contact your state legislators so that we can hopefully get this bill through. So
I do have a different question, not about the bill, but so I'm on the board of our cycling club up in Lafayette. This is Alan. If we wanted to get copies of the various handouts you have to distribute at our New Rider call out in May, is that easily done?
Yes, absolutely. Let me drop you a link here. There's just a form to fill out and we will drop them in the mail for you.
Okay, but if I wanted like 100 of something, is that a thing?
Yep, absolutely. We've got many. We're actually just about to order a new batch of our law cards, the English ones as well. So before we had them in kind of the legal language, but we've revised them to be more like plain language so that you're not having to like, well, okay, that's how it's written, but what does that mean? But yes, we have plenty in our office to send you.
Awesome. Okay, thanks.
Right. Well, hopefully I will meet many of you at the State House Day. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop us an email or send us a message on any of our social media.
Okay. Also, I will put the links that Summer has in the chat. I'll also put them on the YouTube. So when you go to watch on the YouTube, it'll be in the description. So you'll be able to get those as well.
Thank you, Connie.
I think we've covered everything. Thanks everyone for coming. And I'll go ahead and end this and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Goodbye.